And we're live.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Before we get started, I have to mention that we are consenting that this meeting is being recorded. Today, as you can see, I am not necessarily hosting the Zoom meeting, but we have the wonderful Shay and the amazing Sonia. So you're in good hands. Now, before we continue, let's do our best to avoid any distractions. Let's continue with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now let's get this show started. I will pass the meeting on to our one and only president, Shastri Stewart.
Thank you, Ray, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. And that hat definitely fits you well. I love that you're standing as well. You commanding your presence. I love that. So 2 things. I'll recite our mission statement, which is to provide a positive and learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence. So hopefully during this meeting, we're able to do that. Now our guest, I believe we only have one guest, Woodland, recurring guest. So everyone already knows Woodland, and he keeps coming back, so we appreciate that. Hopefully he'll take the plunge sooner than later. Awesome background. So we're at 6:57, 6:58 actually. So I'll pass the meeting over to our lovely Connie Andrews, who will be our Toastmasters for the evening. Connie? I think you're just moving your lips, Connie.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Tonight, the theme of the meeting is very apropos, democracy. It's a Greek origin word. Demos means people. Kratos means rule. So it's the rule of the people. It's not just about voting. It's about protecting the best interest of the people. The belief that focuses on you, the people, what we want, what's best for everyone. Democracy means doing our part, for example, service. It's up to us to do our part. Invocation, Ray Melendez.
To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. Dr. Seuss. No matter who you are, there is someone who is happy you're still around. Perhaps a small act of kindness, a wink, a nod of your head was enough to let them know that you acknowledged them. And that made all of the difference in the world for them. Take a second to smile at a stranger or wish them good luck. It doesn't matter if they respond outwardly or not. They will do so inwardly. And that's what really counts. To that person at that moment, you are the world. Toastmaster of the day.
As Toastmaster of the day, I serve as your Toastmaster of ceremonies for the benefit of our guest Woodland and new members. A traditional Toastmasters meeting has 3 formal sections: the formal speeches, table topics, and evaluations. In the chat box, I encourage you to provide feedback to the speakers and functionaries, any suggestions that you have. Throughout the meeting, our members have the opportunity to practice their listening skills, critical thinking, and management skills by serving in various roles. So this evening, Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez, please explain your role as a counter.
Toastmaster of the day, the purpose of the art counter is to note any word or sound used as a crutch by anyone who speaks during the meeting. Words may be inappropriate interjections. Toastmaster of the day. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I go, I have to improvise a sound. So I hope you can hear this. And that will be done after the third. It will be done after the third interjection or incorrect. Only after 3. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez. Toastmaster Sonia Garate, please explain your role as grammarian, word master.
Good evening, Toastmasters. One benefit of Toastmasters is that it helps people improve their grammar and word use. Being grammarian provides an exercise in expanding my listening skills. I have several responsibilities: to introduce new words to members, to comment on the language used during the course of the meeting, and to provide examples of eloquence. Our word of the day tonight is autonomy, also a Greek root word for the word auto, self, nomos, laws. And it's a noun, and it means freedom from external control or influence, independence. Used in a sentence, you could say patient autonomy, the right of patients to make decisions about their medical care without their healthcare provider trying to influence their decision. Please try to use the word of the day, autonomy, during the meeting. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia Garate. Toastmaster Shay Greaves, please explain your role as general timer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Connie. Toastmaster of the day, I am responsible for monitoring the time for each speaker, operate time signals to indicate speech length. Timing begins with the first definite verbal or nonverbal communication with the audience. As the timer, whomever is speaking, has control of the meeting. Please pay attention to the red color behind me, as it means you have to wrap up and quickly and professionally, efficiently as possible. I'll be clapping off with an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay Greaves. Toastmaster Tim Morrell, please explain your role as general evaluator.
The role of general evaluator. Well, I get to be the general. General evaluator. The evaluation portion of the meeting is always my favorite portion. It's the part of the meeting that I think separates Toastmasters from pretty much every other continuing education type of group out there, that we get immediate feedback. And so I'll be commenting on the meeting as a whole. I'll be inviting specific evaluators to give evaluations of the particular speakers, and the role players will be giving their reports. They'll be taking notes throughout the meeting, such as the word master, grammarian, the all counter, and the timer. We will report all that and then return control back to our general, or our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, General Toastmaster Tim Morrell. The first section of our meeting is the formal speeches, which are prepared speeches based on specific projects in our communications manual or pathway program. This evening, we have 2 speakers who will be performing a formal speeches. Toastmaster Shastri Stewart, please provide us with the project information for our first speaker.
Absolutely. Madam Toastmaster. So I will be evaluating Gary Nooper. His path is innovative planning. His project connect with your audience. Speech is between 5 and 7 minutes, and his speech title is Ups and Downs of Buying a House. So I'll be looking closely to see how he engages the audience. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shastri Stewart. Timer, Shay Greaves, please demonstrate the timing signals for this project.
Yes, I will display the green background at, are you able to see it?
No,
I will display
yes.
the green background at 5 minutes. At 6 minutes, I will display the yellow. And at 7, I will display the red. He'll have 30 minutes to wrap up and I'll clap you off. Can you see it?
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Shay Greaves. Gary's title of his speech is called The Ups and Downs of Buying a House. Very interesting. Gary has lived in Wellington for 3 years and a Toastmaster for just about the same time. He loves planning in advance. This week has definitely not gone according to plan. Let's hear about how a seemingly normal week can turn into a whirlwind. Toastmaster Gary Nooper.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our guest, Woodland. We all have those weeks that are just going along very smoothly. You're taking care of work, doing your chores, looking after the pets, making sure that everything is business as usual. When all of a sudden something comes along that turns that week into a complete whirlwind for you. Some of you have gone through the experience of buying a house and may or may not ever want to do that again. This week, I was working on my laptop, innocently minding my own business, when that all too familiar voice comes from the other room. Honey, won't you please come and have a look at something quickly? You'd think after 5 years of marriage that I would treat those requests with a little bit more skepticism. But like a lamb led to the slaughter, I willingly obliged and walked into the other room. My wife is supposed to be studying for her nursing exam, but she turns her laptop around and shows me a house that's for sale. Now, in all fairness, we had been speaking about buying a house. It just wasn't supposed to happen until later next year, when a few things fall into place, like her finishing nursing school. So I had a look at the house and it met all our criteria. It was a really cute little house that would not be too much maintenance for us and would be big enough so that there was space for me to put my fishing equipment and my hunting gear, because that drives my wife crazy. At the moment, my kayak's in the living room. We arranged to go and see the house and met with the sellers. And it seemed like it was a really nice house. We loved the neighborhood and they were really great people. What worked in our favor was also the fact that they were selling the house directly and we would be buying from them directly. So there was a little bit more scope for negotiation because it was ahead of our schedule and we didn't have the funds that we needed for closing and the down payment. So it sounded like if there ever was a situation that could work out, this may be it. We left the house with the agreement that we would put in an offer on the house because we thought it could really be a nice house for us. So we submitted our offer, and that was on Friday. Now, for those of you that have bought a house, one of the most anxiety-provoking times is from when you've submitted an offer to when you get feedback from the seller. This weekend, everything seemed to go awry for the seller in their personal events, and they ended up being out of town and unable to even look at it for the weekend. My wife's anxiety was through the roof. Long story short, we came to an agreement on the terms of the offer, and we started moving ahead with the process. So I applied for the loan, and the next step was the inspection. We had the inspection, and everything went really well with the inspection, or so I thought. Now, this is the first time that we're buying a house, and the house is a little bit on the older side. So some of the items in the inspection were expected. What wasn't expected was the insurance company's response to the inspection report. Now, insurance in Florida is incredibly difficult to get to start with. Then you throw on the fact that it's an older house with the original roof, and it's next to impossible to get insurance. After hours and hours, days and days on end, trying to figure out some scenarios and how we could make this work, we got to the point where we're discussing replacing the roof as part of the agreement, or figuring how replacing the roof would fit into the whole situation. Now, here's the fun part. Even if you wanted to replace the roof, you can't, because there's a 12-week wait for tiles. That means you have to wait 3 months for the roof to get replaced before you can even consider closing on the house. And no seller is going to wait around for that. So I can't tell you that we've come to the final solution yet. But after this past week and my tons and tons of time on the phone, I feel like I could become a property consultant with all the information that I've learned. And the one thing I do know for certain is I completely believe that what's meant to be will be. So I'm doing the best that I can do and trusting God that if it's meant to be, everything will work out. This speech is definitely to be continued. Toastmaster of the day.
Gary, what a great, humorous speech. And I got to tell everybody, I asked Gary to fill in less than 24 hours ago. And it's great when you tell a story that you're actually living. So good luck, Gary. I agree with you. But you know, if you need help, you know who to come to. Toastmaster Jennifer McDougall, please provide us with the project information for our second speaker.
Good evening, everyone. It is so nice to see you all again. I have the honor and pleasure of evaluating Ray Melendez today. He is working on the project Researching and Presenting. The purpose of his project is for him to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. His speech time limits are 5 to 7 minutes, and his speech title is Thinking Differently, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jennifer McDougall. Thinking Differently, Ray Melendez. Ray will be speaking about the world of opportunities we may have when we shift the way we think. How can we make a change in the world by thinking differently? Ray Melendez.
Thank you, Toastmaster Connie. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers. Who remembers where these quotes were from? Put it in the chat. It was from the 1997 to 2002 Apple campaign, Think Different. One of the biggest lessons that I learned and admired from this campaign was that there may be a world of opportunity out there if we go beyond our guardrails. What's funny is I had written and titled a speech forgetting about that campaign. Good evening, Toastmasters. How many of us imagined 25 or 30 years ago that we were listening to music on demand without an 8-track, a cassette, a compact disc, or vinyl record? I know I didn't, but it took at least one person to think differently. And eventually the rest of us shifted our minds on how we think about listening to music. This is one example of how one person made a difference in our world. And my fellow Toastmasters, I'm going to share with you on how I applied thinking differently in my own life. Like many others, when my wife and I had our first child, we were excited. We were excited because we were having our first daughter. We did everything by the books. We wanted to try to be the best parents out there. We had all of the guardrails in place. A few years later, when we were expecting our second child, I was celebrating. I was celebrating because we were expecting a boy now. This boy was going to be Ray the fourth. As you can tell, I'm Ray the third. He was going to be the next legend. I was excited because I was going to be able to teach him how to play baseball, take him to the games with me, do the things I did when I was younger. When my son was a year old, we took him for his annual checkup. My wife and I were concerned because he was at an age that he was not saying basic words such as mama and dada. The doctor was concerned as well. We were sent to a specialist and ended up finding out that our son had autism. Now, in the past, I had not paid much attention to really what autism was. I actually had an employee explain it to me because his son had autism. And because I did not pay the proper attention, I wasn't as concerned as I should have been. As an engineer, my first thoughts were, let's figure this out. Let's find a solution. Let's fix this. I was looking for an answer. I started reading up on the topic, reading about the different type of spectrums of autism, finding out how some kids and some parents were doing regarding this. I researched, and to at the end find out that autism had no cure. I went back to the doctor, letting them know that the approach taken when we were raised and how we were raising our daughter, none of them were working. We didn't know what to do. You see, I wanted to have that father-son bond of enjoying baseball with him. I wanted and still want him to grow up to be independent and successful. The doctor came back to us and said, you need to start thinking differently. Your goals with him should be the same, but your approach on how you're doing this has to be different than what it was when you grew up. We had to transform ourselves and change. Again, I had to start thinking differently. You see, the moral of the story is not the challenges that I've gone through and that I'm still going through with my son, but instead, it's the message the doctor gave us more than 10 years ago. A message I initially did not understand. Think differently. We've all heard that we're creatures of habits and routines. We don't like change because, as you've heard me say before, it's hard to change a habit. But if we do not start thinking differently, we may never know what opportunities may arise, what doors may open up for us, or how our lives may be impacted. In order for us to go beyond our boundaries, we need to go outside of those guardrails and start making small changes in our lives, little by little. By thinking differently, we can change the world we live in and the lives of those around us. I recently went outside with my son. This time we had a ball, not a regular baseball, but a ball with one of his favorite characters on it. I threw the ball to him. He actually tried to catch it. He threw it back to me, and he was excited. I was excited. I may not have made a change in the world that we live in, but I could tell you, my fellow Toastmaster, my world has changed by thinking differently. Toastmaster of the day.
Wow. What a beautiful story, Ray. It's so inspiring, so touching. You had everything in it. It was beautiful. Congratulations. And I honor you for thinking differently. Are we going to do, let's see, vote for the best speaker at this time, or are we doing it at the end?
We can do it now.
Okay, great. So let's vote for the best speaker. Ray Melendez, Gary Nooper.
And closing the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And a timer's report on the speeches.
All speeches were within time.
I just want to remind everybody at this time that use your chat box for that private message to the speakers, anybody that's participating with a function today. Just write down something that you liked and maybe 1 or 2 points that the speaker or the functionary could work on for improvement. That's the way that we get better. The second section of our meeting is table topics. This is an opportunity for members to develop their unrehearsed speaking skills. This is ad-libbing speaking. Guests are encouraged to participate. So Woodland, would you like to participate? Woodland, unmute yourself. Would you like to participate? Is he still there? Yeah, he's there. Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Super. Okay, so Woodland as a guest will be participating. Please welcome Toastmaster Jackie Miller as our topics master.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Toastmaster of the Day. The Topics Master gives members who are not assigned a significant speaking role the opportunity to speak during the meeting. I challenge each member with a subject, and they respond with a 1 to 2 minute impromptu talk. And since the theme of today's meeting is democracy, I tried to define democracy, and I looked for a few words, and I loved what Consuelo said, but this is what I come up with. Democracy is the participatory practice of molding the principles of social autonomy. Say it one more time. Democracy is the participatory, the practice, being part of, practice of molding the principles of social autonomy. It's something that's always growing and is always part of us. That said, that rights, responsibilities, and regulation make up the framework of democratic possibility. And here we go. What does the right to vote mean to you? High on green. What does the right to vote mean to you?
Mr. Table Topics Master, when I think about the right to vote, I cannot help thinking about the day I became a US citizen. For those of you who were born in the States, you don't know that feeling. You will never know. But I still remember the day I had to get up early in the morning, 5 in the morning, and drive all the way down to the Miami Convention Center. And there were about 500 people, I believe, that morning, all eager to be sworn into being US citizens. I had to surrender my Korean passport right at that day, at that moment, actually. But now we can hold dual citizenships. But at that moment, I had to surrender my Korean passport in order to be eligible to get the US passport as well as the voting right. The first time I had to vote, of course, was a few years later. I remember waiting in line to go and vote, to cast my vote. And the right to vote is not just a right for us to exercise in this democratic world. I believe it's an inherent right for all of us as anyone who pledge allegiance to a country. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hyan. Which one of the amendments to the Constitution would you like to speak about? Which one of the amendments to the Constitution would you like to speak about? Toastmaster Shay Greaves.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and Jack Miller. I knew that I was going to get this toughie, but I am going to go with, because you said amendment, so I'm just going to go with the first thing that comes to mind is the freedom of speech. I think that as Americans, we have a sense of privilege where we abuse the freedom of speech, where there's a difference between, I think, influencing your environment in a powerful and uplifting directional way, and there's a way of just asserting your opinions or your emotions or whatever mood you're in on the world around you. And I think because of our state of privilege and how easy certain things are accessed have been, we have a warped sense of what that means. And a warped sense of, I think a warped sense of reality in general. But it comes from this heightened state of privilege. I would challenge us to think of what does it mean to communicate with honor using our privilege to our right to, I'm sorry, I lose my words, but what does it look like to communicate with honor? Whether that is questions that we ask or conversations that we engage in or protests or things that we write and publish and blogs or texts. Communicating with honor, it doesn't mean that we don't say the important things, but we remember the impact that words have, because as Maya Angelou said, they are living things.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. We are living things, each and every one of us. How much more time do I have here? One more?
Yes, you have at least time for 2 more, actually.
Okay, here we go. Describe the blur between liberty and responsibility. Describe the blur between liberty and responsibility. Toastmaster Woodland.
this one is tough. I'm gonna be honest. Good.
How about describing either word, liberty or responsibility?
Responsibility. Responsibility is
Woodland, equate it to how you're showing up in real estate, the responsibility that you have taken on.
yeah. So responsibility comes with stuff that you have to do. You have to stay on top of your goals, stay on top of things, and when you do stuff that you have to do, it feels good, and you'll sleep easy at night. Toastmasters.
There you go. Yes, you will. Being responsible definitely helps you to sleep easy at night. When you're not responsible, it definitely interrupts all your life in more ways than one. One more. Are rights a privilege or an entitlement? Are rights a privilege or an entitlement? Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez.
Can you repeat that again for me?
Are rights a privilege or an entitlement?
Are rights a privilege or entitlement?
Or both?
Rights are privilege. It's a privilege. An entitlement, I would say, would be something that you deserve. A right comes with it autonomy, it comes with it self-respect, it comes with responsibility. And how you interpret your right to do something may after a while become an entitlement, if not used with responsibility. So in a democracy, in a world where we choose to make laws and be responsible for what we do, I feel that a right is a privilege and not an entitlement. We could get carried away with entitlements. I think children feel that they're entitled because they were born to us. So a right is, to me, is given. A right is given, so it is more of a privilege than anything else. Toastmaster of the day. Table topic, sorry.
Okay,
Thank you,
we got one
Toastmaster.
more.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackie Miller.
We have no more.
Okay, so at this time, let's vote for the best table topics. How did we all do on time, timer?
Yes, we were all within time.
Okay, perfect. So just to review, who participated was Hyan, Shay, Greaves, Woodland, and Michelle.
I don't believe we have the poll ready as yet, Toastmaster
Okay,
today. So just
that's
come
all
back.
right. How about if we do the, let's go into our third section of our meeting then, and then we can come back?
Yes.
That'll work? Okay, perfect. The third section of our meeting is evaluations, the gift of instant feedback, a key part of the success of the Toastmasters program. Please welcome Toastmaster Tim Morrell as our general evaluator this evening.
As I said earlier, the general evaluation portion of the meeting, I think, is what separates Toastmasters from every other continuing education self-help group that I know of. And that's that we get immediate feedback and we get a lot of instruction on how to do it. That's one of the reasons why we have that evaluation contest. We teach people how to give criticism, but in a constructive way. The thing that you'll find here, especially for our guests tonight, is that the criticism that's given here is never something to tear somebody down, but to try to find, first of all, the good things that somebody's already come with, the things that they've done well, and then the things that they might improve upon for the next time, always with the idea of generating positive feedback. That's not to say we whitewash any of this stuff, because that doesn't help either. Every speaker, no matter if they're a novice or they're an advanced, super, ultra distinguished Toastmaster, always has room to grow. If you aren't growing every single day, if you're not learning something, getting better every single day, you're getting worse. That's Tim on Toastmasters, in my own personal opinion. And that's something else I should put a little asterisk by. For those of you who are getting critiqued, just know that this is just one person's opinion. You might get other people sending in giving you private notes and things like that. But always take it with the idea that it's not the be all, the end all. It's someone's opinion, having heard you and offering what they think might make you better. But don't get too personal about it. Don't worry if somebody seems a little bit too harsh or, maybe missed your point. Don't be thinking about that. Just take it for what it is. Don't take any of it personally. Just, if you can grow from it, grow from it. If it's not worthwhile, discard that and move on to the next thing. Again, just my experiences from a long time in Toastmasters. So our first evaluator tonight, I believe, is Shastri Stewart, evaluating Gary Nooper. Shastri, yay! Go for it.
Thank you, General Evaluator, Toastmasters, and our guest, Woodland. All right, so now I've evaluated Gary Nooper. And Gary is such a respected Toastmaster. So it's an honor to evaluate you tonight. I don't think I've evaluated you for a while. I'll be focusing on three things today: organization, delivery, and engagement of the audience. So Gary, your organization, not much to say about that. Your organization was very organized. You provide an intro to the Toastmaster, which was excellent. In regards to your delivery, you had a calm tone, which is so welcoming, right? The way you delivered your speech was very engaging. You enticed us with your gestures. I know you usually sit, but I don't think anyone could do it better than you, the way that you use your hand gestures, but still sitting down. I think that the way you do it is very, very good, very effective. Also, your facial expressions are priceless. You said a few things. Honey, could you come take some, you said, honey, could you come look at something quickly? And then you said something about your wife. My wife's anxiety was through the roof, and you rolled your eyes. I thought that was very effective as well. But most importantly, you told us a story, right? And to really engage people, you want to tell them a story. That's one way that you could really engage an audience, and you did that tonight. Now, I'd like to offer a few things that you could improve for your next speech. The first thing that I noted was the way that you spoke. I thought that your speech should have been a little bit more conversational, like sitting at the bar with a friend. You know, what happened with this real estate, and we're buying a house and it's so difficult. It needs to be a little bit more natural and more organic. Your inflections and your voice, I feel like your calm tone was very welcoming, but if you're engaging the audience, you're trying to keep our attention, you want to have different pacing, like moving fast and moving slow, or going high and going low, right? Also, show us some pictures, maybe on the screen, show us a picture of the house that you were looking at. I thought that would be probably, add to the delivery of your speech. And then lastly, engagement. You definitely engaged us, especially Connie, because I was looking at her screen the whole time. I know that she loved your accent. So she had a huge smile on her face. So you definitely connected with Connie. You connected with me because I've been in the process of looking for a house, and I know how difficult it is. And I'm sure the other people in our meeting have bought houses in the past. So you definitely connected with that story. Hoping to see you many more times on the Zoom platform. Tim?
Yay! Outstanding. Da-da-da. Meanwhile, I don't know if anybody's been noticing the wonderful background colors that Shay's been putting up.
Yes, I love those.
I love those. Outstanding. I just don't even that very creative. I like that. All right, evaluating Ray Melendez is our blushing bride, Jennifer McDougall. I love her picture. Yay!
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, our general evaluator, and most importantly, Ray Melendez. I just have to give you an audible clap. Wow. It has been some time since I've been to a meeting, and I can't tell you the last time I saw you speak, but I definitely saw some improvements today. And all I can say is keep coming. You're only going to continue to get better. I was thrilled that I had the opportunity of coming today, and even more blessed to be your evaluator. So thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to spend the next 2 to 3 minutes talking about some things that you did very well and give a couple of areas for improvement. So let's get started. I really enjoyed your opening. Starting with a quote or a question is a great way to engage the audience. What it does is it grabs their attention and it sets the stage for the rest of your speech. What I really enjoyed about your introduction was the history lesson about music. You reminded us that just because one person thought differently, we can carry over 1 million songs in our pocket versus trying to figure out how to put together some cassette tapes, some 8-track tapes, and even some vinyls if we want to listen to our favorite songs. Forget about skipping and using the fast forward, trying to catch your favorite part of the song, because one person thought differently. We have that ability today.
Right.
Your body language was awesome. I felt when you were excited. I felt when you were a little bit sad, and it was amazing. When you were talking about the excitement you and your wife had about your daughter, I felt like we were right there with you when you found out the news. And the same thing with your son. This is going to be Ray the Fourth. He's my son. And I felt that pride through the way that you presented your speech. It was amazing. Your hand movements were great. You had great facial features. Like I said, when you were excited, I was excited. And I hope the audience felt the same way. Your vocal variety was great. When you got excited and you were ready to tell us about something, I could tell the change in your pitch. You had great eye contact. Your whole presentation was perfect. The third thing that I really liked about your speech today is that it was a personal story. Using a personal story allows for the club to get to know you even better, and it kind of takes away some of those nerves that even no matter how well you've prepared, no matter how long you've been a Toastmaster, we all have those nerves. And what kind of a better way to kind of shake those nerves versus telling your own story? Because face it, nobody knows it better than you. So I thought that was a great topic. The small area I have for improvement for you is to show some sources of your research. This project was on researching and presenting, and I know that you mentioned to us that you did a lot of research on your quest to find the cure for autism, but you didn't really give us any of those sources or even give us examples of things that you found. And I believe that if you had given us just a little bit of that, it would have enhanced your speech so much more. Your conclusion was so powerful. Your call to action really resonated with me. And to summarize what you said in my own words, we should think differently because small changes lead to big changes. Ray, again, I am so thrilled that I had the opportunity to watch your speech today, and I can't wait to see your next one. Mr. General Evaluator.
Yay, outstanding. And so please start getting ready for your voting for the better of the two evaluators tonight. We had Shastri Stewart and General Fru McDougall. Now, we had various role players say now. The general evaluator, of course, has a great deal of autonomy in terms of what he can say and when he can say it. In particular, being able to use the word of the day, autonomy. Our grammarian and word master today was Sonia Garate. Where's Sonia? Sonia.
Hello, Tim.
Ah, there you are. Yay. How do we do with our grammar and our autonomous thinking?
General Evaluator. So our word of the day has been used correctly 4 times. Thank you, Tim, for those 2, at least today. And some examples that I'd like to share that were beautifully said tonight are go beyond our guardrails. Also, I'd like to say that repeating a word really brings it home. And I heard the phrase, I research 4 times. So it really sticks in your head. And I also heard a wonderful phrase, words are living things. Some areas that I think we could improve are the phrase, organization was very organized. I think we could have said the speech was very organized instead of using that phrase. And then one area where repeating a word does not have as much impact is if we say the word, for example, house in the speech, we kind of know it's coming. And so if we could change the phrasing, sometimes we don't hear that word as often because it doesn't have the impact versus saying it at the same time in one sentence. And that concludes my report.
Yay. Thank you, Sonia. We had just the most outstanding timer tonight, as I've already complimented her on her wonderful backgrounds. But Shay, talk timing with me. How did we do? First of all, can you give us the exact times of the prepared speeches?
No, I just noted that they were within time. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact times.
And how about the evaluations? Were those within time?
Yes, they were extremely close, but they were right on the line. So they made it in.
Good use of their time then. Okay. How about table topics? Do we have any violations there?
No, all of our table topics were within time.
All right. We respected our time tonight. Outstanding. Thank you, Shay. Let's see. Who else do we have? And not even a ding, Michelle? Come on. Michelle Gonzalez. Counter. Give me some dings.
General Evaluator. I should have given myself a ding, but I did not because I did not go over 3 R's and ums. The reason why I chose to do the R counter because I'm the guilty one. Today, however, in comparison to the last time that I did the R counter, we were absolutely flawless. We had just 2 double starts and a couple of filler words, to say the least. The most commonly used filler words was and, was so, and none of the speeches from Ray or Gary were any filler words used. There were no R's, no ums to report. I thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. That concludes my R counter report.
Thank you. Yay. All right. Outstanding. This was a great meeting today. I enjoyed that fact that everybody that was involved in this thing. I know pulled together. Some of it was a little bit last minute, but good Toastmasters that we are. We came together, we got the job done. Connie was all over that, made sure that everything went flawlessly. The table topics from Jack, outstanding, good, thought-provoking table topics. My suggestion to improve on table topics is we don't repeat our table topics. Why? Because listening is part of the skill that we learn in table topics. You need to pay attention. You never know if you're going to get called on. That is a skill to be developed. Our timer, the only thing I will say about the timer today, besides what wonderful background she had, I do like to have the exact times of the speeches. Why? Well, and I actually like to see those before the evaluations, but that wasn't doable so much today. But nevertheless, the reason for having the exact times for the speeches is so that it assists the evaluators in being able to evaluate. Especially sometimes you'll see a speaker rush to sort of to get to the end when they see the yellow card or the red light come on, that sort of thing. So it can play a factor. Everything here is timed, and that's what you're going to face out in the public when you have to do public meetings that have to give time sequences. For me in court, I have 5-minute motion hearings, and so I have to be very organized with my time. And so that's the skill that we learn here. And so it's very helpful for the evaluations in particular to know what the exact times of the speeches are. Overall, a wonderful meeting. It was a great job once again by Connie pulling it all together. And with that, I return control to Connie, our Toastmaster of the day. Yay!
Thank you so much, Tim. Thanks for stepping up at the last minute also. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your participation. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's been my pleasure to serve as your Toastmaster this evening. Please welcome back our wonderful club president, Toastmaster Shastri Stewart.
Thank you.
Toastmaster
Thank you,
President,
Connie, for doing so.
if I could launch the polls for table topics and evaluator before you speak.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. And closing it off in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shastri, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Sonia, for actually catching that. Appreciate it. As I was saying, Connie, thank you for doing such a wonderful job getting everyone ready for this meeting, getting speakers and having people fill out roles. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you'll be Toastmaster the following week, not next week, but the following week, correct? Yeah. Okay. So next week we have our special event, Halloween event. We'll have prizes. We'll have a competition among 3 or 4 groups where it'll be divided between, well, every group will have about 3 to 4 participants, and then we'll have a competition, and the best winner or the best team will get a prize, I think, with a t-shirt or something. And then also we'll be doing trivia. So I'm excited for that. Also, come dressed to impress. I already have my costume. I'm very excited. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you all put on. All right. Okay. And then we have a couple acknowledgements. Hold on. Okay, so we have 2 acknowledgements. Brendan. He's not here, but we'll still go ahead and do it. So Brendan first came through the doors of Club Wellington on the winds of great change and influence. He inspired us with his powerful three-point approach to table topics, embodies a spirit of excellence, and holds his peers high through constructive feedback. Within his year at Club Wellington, he has delivered over 5 impactful speeches such as Life on a Balanced Wheel and Blessings in Disguise. Supported the club behind the scenes with our first training uploaded to YouTube. He currently serves as a mentor and supports the club wherever he can. Please put your hands together for Brendan McCauley. And the second Toastmaster would like to recognize is Justin Gwynn. Justin has been a team Toastmaster since November 2018. The words faithful, loyal, or steadfast are strong words to describe his commitment to growing as a public speaker and a leader. In his 2 years, we have seen him deliver over 7 speeches such as Daddy's Job, and shared success roundtables, support behind the scenes, editing scripts, and providing feedback for club committee projects, boldly served as Toastmaster of the Day over 5 times. Let us put our hands together for an elite Toastmaster, Justin Gwynn. And what we'll do, we'll also email that out to them so that they're able to get it. And hopefully they look at this video and they'll see the acknowledgement. All right. Any other announcements? We have 7:57.
Polls for tonight.
What was that?
I have the results of the polling tonight. So for best speaker,
go ahead.
Please give me a drum roll for Toastmaster Ray Melendez. Congratulations. For best table topics, drum roll for Toastmaster Hyun Green. And tonight, best evaluator, drum roll for Toastmaster Jennifer McDougall. Congratulations all.
Great job, everybody.
Before you leave, everyone. Oh, sorry, Shastri. I just wanted to show you the agenda looks a little different for signing up, but it's still the same. There's 3 different teams to participate. The structure of the meeting is going to be a little different, but you just hit sign up the same way. So we just encourage you to go ahead and sign up for the upcoming meeting. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I would ask that people sign up for 1, 2, and 3 before anybody makes a slot for 4. So we could have teams of 3 instead of teams of 4, the way it's set up. That's the only thing that, and then if we fill up the 3, then you go to the 4.
Can somebody give us like a quick example of what this team thing means?
Yeah, it's basically going to be kind of like a table topics, but with a little bit of the Halloween theme. And the actual theme is pockets of possibilities. And there will be a little bit of a story. And the first speaker will start the story. They need to speak at least 2 minutes to qualify. The second speaker, and then they can end at 3 minutes. The second speaker will pick up the story right where the first speaker left off. There will be a twist that will be announced in it, and you'll kind of play with that. In fact, I guess I'll give the twist away now because that'll help people sign up and have fun with it. And that twist is you're going to have a pocket full of possibility. There'll be 3 supernatural powers that each person will have in their pocket. And if they run into a difficulty, they use that power before they hand it off to another person. Sometime in their speech, they use the power of invisibility, anti-gravity, or being able to stop time. spooky.
Oh, this sounds like
Yeah,
so
that
much
sounds-
fun.
Sounds exciting. Very creative stuff.
And this is what Jack means, the first
Yeah.
and second before the fourth or the third. Just sign up in order.
So we can see there's lots of
Jack,
room.
I didn't know you were that creative. Now we know.
Now you know.
All right, so it's 8:01. Any other announcements? Feedback, anything? No?
Have a great week, everybody. Vote.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah, so I already did. Yeah, everyone vote. Where's
Yes.
my I don't
Good.
have my stuff.
Good night, everybody. It was so good to see you all again.
Great working with everybody.
Good night. You too. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
See you
Goodbye.
later, Jan.
Bye.
Bye, Woodland.
Whoa. What is this? Is that you, Jack?
That's Jack jumping down.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. So really, this executive meeting, I just wanted to really touch on our meeting for next week pretty much. So Jack already pretty much explained everything. We probably want to, I'll reach out to Micheline to make sure that we send additional emails out. I know that Jack is the Toastmaster of the day. So we want to make sure that we have everyone signed up at least by Friday, hopefully. I'm already signed up, but we need to probably reach out to a few more people, mentors, and see if they can reach out to a few more people, have as many people at this meeting as we can. Make sure that we have our costumes for next week. And in regards to the prize, Jack, you're just gonna mail that to the person, right, or the team?
Maybe we can probably just buy a restaurant certificate with someone's name on it. That they just go there and redeem a number.
You could probably have that email.
Like,
Huh?
Sent that out through email. That could be sent. You don't have to even mail it once.
Right. We just go on and buy it. Where, I guess, is a good place in Wellington. It makes sense to keep it. Anybody got any ideas? I don't eat up there very often.
Well, there's actually
But you know, it could even be
groups,
something simple
groups
like
of restaurants. I'm sorry, Jack?
was that Sonia?
They have certificates you can get that work at multiple restaurants. And so those would probably be the best bet.
Yeah, if it's a chain.
Oh, okay, like a Starbucks certificate or something like that. That's it. Maybe that's it. Just a simple. That wouldn't be bad. Would a Starbucks certificate
Right.
make sense? Or Carrabba's or
Starbucks
something.
is Chili's. There's